Hey there. This is, if you're seeing the title, I'm giving an honest reaction here. The FNAF movie made me so goddamn hot. My toes were curling so hard in an joyful moment. I thought I was never going to see a good movie in the last 3 years because Barbie and Oppenheimer combined made me want to become an abortion. But holy shit, goddamn, this movie actually hit pretty goddamn hard. And there's not many movies I could say that I've actually hit very hard. I could hit myself pretty hard, but goddamn, this movie was not that bad. A lot of people are saying that the FNAF movie really did suck, and I just don't think they're understanding that it's through the perspective of the creator's view, the guy who made it, because everyone's trying to say, it's not like the theories. The goddamn theories have to be the fucking truth. That's what we've been saying for 9 fucking years. That's the only thing that makes sense, god damn it. But the thing is, it's like, we're listening to the creator of the game who's giving the full-length story to us. Maybe in a way that sure isn't doesn't make a lot of sense, but some stories don't make sense, okay? Like some stories that are based off of fictional games are not meant to make sense because they're not real. But it's not that bad of a movie. I actually I watched it a first time without really vividly or paying attention to my most to the most I could. I kind of just ran through it, and running through it without really looking at it and even taking notes, it is kind of shit doing it that way. But I watched it again and I took notes. I got this whole page here, and I got this whole shit, and I got this whole page here. I have 2 pages of information I wrote down to prove, to try to even get an understanding of the basis of the story. I still don't understand the basis of the story, and I've followed this shit for 9 years, and even the theories to me are a little bit out there, a little bit out there, and some are way the fuck out there. If you've seen the YouTuber fucking Smike, all of his videos are way the fuck out of fucking FNAF. And I haven't really been so much of a FNAF fanboy for 5 years until I saw this movie, because now I'm wondering how the story connects to itself. Because if you've played the game or even know what the fuck the game is, and if you don't, I would assume that you were either born fucking yesterday, or you were born in a time, or you're born in someone's fucking basement at that point. Because if you don't know what FNAF is, I would assume one of those 2 things connects to you in some way. But I critique the movie. I think it's not bad if you listen in on the movie and actually write down details. Because if you go into the movie without having a fucking clue in mind of what you're watching it for, or think, oh, it's going to be just like the theories, then I'm sorry to tell you, it's nothing like the theories. And sure, Matt Pat is in the goddamn movie, but he is just a theorist, and everything he's theorized is bullshit. It just is. So, of course, that's just me, because I'm just saying a theory myself, right? But this movie is very... I can't really give detail because I don't want to spoil the movie in any way. The prompt of the movie and how it's showcased is very cool. I don't think a lot of movies have done it in a way like this that successfully, or even just in general, makes sense. The movie is kind of seen through the perspective of Mike Schmidt, the security guard, as you would expect, as that's who you play in the main game. And a lot of people think, well, how the fuck is it that FNAF 1 happens at the same time as FNAF 2? And that's because in the movie, it doesn't. It doesn't. Apparently, FNAF 1 takes somewhat, for some reason, I'm trying not to spoil the movie. That's why I'm trying to be careful about it. But FNAF 1 is supposed to take place after the Bite of 87. But then FNAF 2 is supposed to take place before 87, a couple days before the Bite of 87. Which is a little bit weird, because then that would have to be then the second attraction became first. But no, I've tried taking notes, the way that this movie is shown is very weird. We're looking through Mike Schmidt, who loses his little brother named Garrett. I won't go really further into that, but he takes these pills that he like goes through lucid dreaming, and he tries to find what happened to his little brother and who did all the things to his little brother. And then it runs into this thing that he becomes the security guard because he's not really, he can't find another good job out there. So he gets this other job at the FNAF pizzeria, but this is 30 years after it's been initially closed. So some people speculate anywhere from 2017 to 2023. I still think it's 2017 because that's the said prompt of when FNAF 3 came out. It was said 2017, but it has since been updated. So it could be completely different. No clue. Because that would be 30 years from 87 to 2017. That would be 30 years, not, whatever. That's not the point. But when he starts working there at the original pizza place, for some reason, it doesn't make sense because the pizza place is now closed, but all the animatronics are still there. And the inside part is fine. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's still not like the pizza place people would imagine it as, or how people like the theories are completely like proving that they're bullshit. Every theory that's been made in the past 9 years has become completely irrelevant and completely false, which is something that, like, for as many theories as there are from complete bullshit, like complete bullshit to actually making sense, none of them are right. Not a single goddamn one, which for how big the FNAF franchise is pretty goddamn surprising that no one came up with a. Now, sometimes the more crazier the theories are, just like the movie was, the less people are going to believe you, which I guess is why the movie was made in this kind of direct way and how the story is told. Now, I would like to see a sequel. I'm not going to lie. The movie, based off of how the story ends, the movie does directly need a sequel, which I don't know if there's a budget for it. I don't know what the movie's going to make. And honestly, I don't know if people are going to praise needing a sequel because some sequels do worse than the first movies. In a lot of the case, in the last 3 years, most movies that have had a sequel or have had a remake have done complete shit, and people just really make fun of them because, Disney, for example, Disney's new movies is just new versions of old films and replacing the characters with other races or other sexual identities, right? And all I gotta say to that is that doesn't prove that Disney's good. Literally, Disney is built off the prompt of pedophilia, which is really bad. Cupcakes, shit like that. Yeah, I know I'm gonna get demonetized for saying that, but I mean, if you look at any of the shit that Disney has ever made, the prompts and how it's made, it's kind of cupcake-ish, if I will say in that way. So the fact that they're remaking it to seem like, oh, we're such good people because now we're supporting this and this, when really they're not. They're just trying to get as much money as they can off of a new movie and then hope that the new audience says, oh yeah, they're so good now. And that's what's kind of happened with a lot of shit like that, besides the point, but trying to make it seem as if if they do make a sequel to FNAF sequel, then at least let's hope it's not a shit one. But I didn't like how they didn't have Markiplier. I think Markiplier being that he recalled himself several times as the king of Five Nights at Freddy's that he is, it kind of sucks he wasn't in the movie. They did put Corey X. Kinchin and Matt Pat and the Living Tombstone, not the three most biggest influential people to the FNAF series, but up there, in the top 10, possibly in the top 5. If I had to make a top 5 list, I'd say Markiplier, Corey X. Kinchin, Jacksepticeye, Matt Pat, and then the Living Tombstone's more of a music creator. I would put... Fuck, there's so many, dude. I gotta think for that for a minute. Honestly, it would probably be some kind of Spanish YouTuber or some shit. I don't know. There's so many FNAF content creators. I could go on, with that, but it's not like something that has recently sparked interest for me. It's kind of just like, whatever. I'm not gonna put Smike in the top 5 because everything he said from the very beginning made no sense, and he never even played the game until like 2015, the first game. So his kind of points were relevant because he just did research to get money out of it and shit. And I don't fall for that shit. But I took a lot of notes here, and I'm gonna try not to I'm gonna try to not spoil details for those who haven't seen the movie. Although I would highly recommend. It's on Peacock, so you don't have to, get fucked out of like $15 just to sit around a bunch of fucking 2-year-olds who have no idea what the fuck they're doing there and yell and scream, shit like that. But it is seen through the eyes of Mike Schmidt and his daughter, and his daughter has always been perceived as Elizabeth, the one with baby in sister location, but is now recalled as Abby. And I tried doing research, and apparently Elizabeth abbreviated can be Abby. It doesn't make sense. It's like saying, oh, well, someone's name Bill can be abbreviated, or someone's name Johnny can be abbreviated as Bill. Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but apparently that is true. It can be abbreviated that way. Which it's weird. It's still a weird concept. So we see it through Mike Schmidt and another character called Vanessa. And if I can correctly say, Vanessa is from the security branch. FNAF security branch, right? I think that is. I could be wrong. I'll put it like somewhere up here if I'm wrong. But apparently from that game, which I didn't even think most of that shit was real. I thought that was just like a fan cosplay, like a last before the movie comes out. But no, the Vanessa character does have a lot of meaning, which, hell, at this point, every character has meaning. But a lot of people, I thought, a lot of the theories were always like, of course, the theories that they did get right a lot of the time were these kids are trapped inside suits. William Afton killed them all. And that is very true. That's actually been told in the games themselves, and that's very true. There's no denying that at all. But we don't really understand who, if you haven't seen the movie, then you don't know who William Afton really is. And all I have to say is that Vanessa is connected to William Afton, and so was the phone guy. Very weird, but they're both connected. I'm not going to say how they are connected, but you'll just have to watch. If you've seen FNAF 3, then you'll see the Springlock failure scene in the good ending of the game where he says, I always come back. That's kind of very famous in the FNAF franchise. He puts everything back on, and he slowly is killed and crushed to death. But like the animatronics, their souls are stuck inside forever, and he becomes one of them, but it ends abruptly before then. But I think a weird thing is that based on how I saw the movie, FNAF 1, 2, and 3 take place all in the same time lapse, as well as the fact that Sister Location seems to take place in that exact timeline. However, it makes me feel like because Abby was not put in Baby Elizabeth, right, as seen in the game's minigame itself, which makes me believe was Vanessa the one behind that, but that wouldn't make sense either because she's the security guard. How would that make any logical sense? That's why there needs to be a sequel, so it would make more sense. But based off of what I watched, it seems that Sister Location, FNAF 1, 2, and 3, at least somewhat of FNAF 3, take all the same place. They're all taken in the same, pretty much same place, same time. FNAF 1 and 2 obviously being 30 years later, but all then taking all place in the same time. Which leaves that FNAF 4 would have to be either in the past or in the present before the future that we're viewing it as. It's kind of hard to even say that. It's very weird. And if you've never heard of this, I'm kind of studying it myself in ELA. there's something called monster theory, which is kind of the idea of how we perceive monsters and if they are able to change or if they will grow and become more massively more destructive towards society as a whole. That's kind of the abbreviated version of it. There's many theses. There's about 7 main theses behind monster theory, and the thesis that I can really say is that the monsters themselves are not scary, but the lore of who's inside the suits and how it is and how I don't know, like it's not perceived that the characters are scary. It's perceived that the drawings seen on the walls of the entire building are the main reason why it is seen in a very fearful way, which is kind of a weird prompt for a movie to be like, oh, these drawings are the reason why all of this is happening. But it's true because I guess like the easiest way is that when these kids are stuffed in these suits, they don't remember anything. All they know, apparent to the story, is that they listen to what the drawings say. So if Spring Bonnie is seen holding hands with all 5 kids, animatronics, then they're going to listen to him and be like, oh, you must be our creator. You must have been the one that saved us. So that they're, not. So it's like being controlled by imagery, literal imagery, and then having imagery within, context behind that image itself. It is a very weird kind of like very weird to even deep dive into that shit. But I think it was really cool. Honestly, I would check it out. Some people, my friends say it sucked, but that's because they weren't into the lore like I was. I was a diehard fan for FNAF, just as much as people find themselves a diehard fan of BTS. I mean, I was into this shit for years, and I never gave up on it until Ultimate Custom Night came out, because then afterwards I was just expecting a goddamn movie to come out and didn't see one for about 5-6 years. But hey, it's out now, and I fucking highly recommend that shit. So good. I know that Charlie made a video, MoistCritkal made a video, and he says that unless you're not a diehard fan, then it's gonna be shit. And I think that's true. If you're not a diehard fan for the movie, you probably think it sucks. But if you're a diehard fan that actually takes notes and actually tries to dig deep into the context of the movie, you might actually like it. So I would give it a shot. I know this sounds nerdy as hell, but I mean, look at the name that you're looking at ImANerd Gaming and then watching this video. What the fuck did you expect? Like, for real. But I think it's weird. And going back on one part, lucid dreaming is what Mike goes through, and he imagines himself trying to figure out who did this to my brother Garrett, and then he sees the kids in the animatronics, the actual kids themselves, but the drawings are what control these animatronics and who the creator is. If the drawings are changed at any point, the story itself will change altogether, and that's what happens in the lucid dreaming, is that if they're given one thing, then the whole story changes all itself. It is a very, very weird context and very deep story. The lore is a lot more deeper than I thought, and the games don't really have a big point in it. But the lore itself, compared to all the theories we've ever made, are fucking mind-blowing. Like, the shit you're hearing from the movie, if you listen to it, all I gotta say is you gotta watch it. Because, holy shit, I think it's good. And I'm sorry that I'm ranting for almost nearly 20 minutes here, but I thought it was pretty good. But that's all I really had to say. I'll probably talk maybe more about it some other time, but that's about it. That's about it. See you guys.